And we have now looked at crew travel and also from the cruise perspective. And it's time to bring all of these threads together in our first panel. Technology in the driver's seat and rethinking the last mile of crew change. To moderate, please welcome my colleague and Crewpoint co-founder Toomas Koost, who will introduce his panel.
Hello. So, can everybody hear us? Yes, it seems to be working now. Thank you all for having us on this panel. Let's start from a quick introduction from myself. I'm Toomas. I'm Chief Product Officer and Chief Operating Officer at Crewpoint. I'm responsible for making sure that the AI bridges the gap. And let's have a short introduction of all of our panelists. Chrysanthos.
Yeah, Chrysanthos, Chrysanthou, the VP Technical at Celestyal Cruises. Thank you.
Sanja.
My name is Sanja. I'm the owner and director of Orca Cruise Services Croatia. We are operating as a part of international Orca group of companies. Our core business is Maritime HR, namely crewing and payroll services for seafarers and maritime-oriented personnel. With 2 offices in Croatia, we are covering largest hubs in Croatia. Personally, I'm a crewing enthusiast with 20 happy years in crewing, and my personal goal is to achieve at least 20 more.
Dmitry.
Kalimera. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dmitry Gladkov. I'm Global Sales Director of EMMA Marine. I'm lucky to be 35 years in the industry already. And I represent EMMA Marine. We're the crewing organization, but we are not a kind of a traditional crewing. We have our very own academy in Ethiopia, and we provide young blood to the crewing pools of our clients. We work with 80 customers, and we're specialized in release of ETOs and engineers by the academy. And we have our own crewing company, which works with every customer very closely, embarking them, following the customer's requirements as well. It's a day of the seafarer. I don't believe into statement that there are ex-seafarers. I was on board, so I consider myself as seafarer. And I think that there's a lot of people in that room who sailed. So happy Seafarers Day to all of us. And of course, to those who are sailing at this moment. So yeah, looking forward to a nice discussion.
Douwe. Yes, thank you. Does it work or?
No.
No. Does it work now? Yes, I think it works, right? That works. Okay. My name is Douwe van Meulen. I work for European Ship Owners as a policy advisor on social affairs. European Ship Owners is an umbrella organization for national ship owners associations. So we have members from 21 different EU member states and Norway. And we do advocacy work on EU policy. And that's very short what we do.
Panos. Greetings. Thank you, Toomas. Thank you to Cyprus 7 News, Mr. Violaris, for the invitation. I'm Panos Anagnostopoulos. I'm part of the commercial department of Marine Tours, a travel management company with 46 years of experience managing supporting over 200 shipping companies and overall 3,000 vessels. I am employed as a business development executive and account manager. See many friendly faces, many partners. Hopefully, we can explore our discussion.
Thank you all for introducing yourself. Before we start with the panel discussion, I want to get the audience a little bit moving as well. And hands up, everyone who has sent at least 10 emails during this week. Hands up.
10. Now keep your hands up if it's more than 30. 50. Okay, 100. There are still hands up. So you understand that these emails that have been sent, you have been the crucial part of making sure that where the technology has failed and the human actually needs to step in, you are there to support it. So here's our topic, technology in the driver's seat, and by the last mile, I don't mean the final flight, I mean the final stretch where everything has to line up at once. Travel, documentation, visas, port agent coordination, and the vessel being ready to receive. Most of the upstream process is digitized. Still, the stretch, the 100 emails that you have sent, it's still stubbornly manual, and this is where plans break. So, together with the panel, I want us to map honestly where this industry actually sits on the line from manual to automated. And we've built this table from 3 seats. The operators who run the crew changes day to day, the travel and the service partners who execute logistics, and the policy side that shapes the rules we all live inside. So let's jump into the first part. And Sanja, I'll start with you. With all the digital tools we now have, the platforms to tracking the data, how much has crew change really moved in the last 15 to 20 years? And where does the final leg, the port agents, the flight connections still feel as fragile as it was back then?
Well, for more than 2 decades in crewing, I have learned one important lesson. Getting a seafarer safely, legally, and on time to the vessel is where the real challenge begins. Crew change is no longer an administrative process. It has become a complex risk management exercise involving immigration authorities, airlines, consulates, port agents, geopolitical events, security risks, and of course, human welfare. When I started my career, we struggled with amounts of paperwork, complex administration and logistics. Emails were not part of our daily communication, like nowadays. No one had a cell phone yet. All you had was a phone and the goodwill to get the seafarer from point A to point B. Do you remember the time when you just couldn't get through the port agent on the phone because they were on site and you are anxiously waiting in the office for their letter of invitation or an okay to board? Seafarers would often visit the office just to get his paper airline ticket and and he was supposed to take another one for his colleagues on board. No email, no applications, no online check-in, no WhatsApp, no Viber. We also struggled so hard with the time difference. Numerous times I stayed late in the office or even arrived at dawn just to grab a company phone because I had a crew change in either US or New Zealand, and only to check if all is going well with my crew. Nowadays, we all have digital tools, resources, online applications, applications for travelers, e-visas, but still it seems hard to organize a simple crew change. We have modernized and automated recruitment processes, crew management and technical management. We have implanted AI in majority of our daily operations, but when it comes to crew change, we still organize it in a good old way, but with more risk involved and details to pay attention to than ever. Struggling to get a flight that is safe and in the budget is also a challenge. Answer to a global situation is visible from increasing prices from every party involved, from the airline companies to insurances, justifying the increase with war crisis, fuel crisis, and for us, crew managers and ship owners, our only remaining option is to take it or leave it. Therefore, we need to juggle in between a lack of flight connections, sky-high tariffs, and the most important, safety of our crew members that we are moving around the globe. Wondering how we ended up with all this available knowledge, modernization, and technology that we are having a hard time still. Seems to me that we became reactive instead of proactive. Gladly, we have here with us on the panel industry experts, so looking forward to hear their valuable insight should they tackle this into more details.
Thank you. Dmitry. Yeah, you want to comment?
Can I add something?
Yes, absolutely.
Sanja said the key word, reactive rather than proactive. Yeah, this phrase, I think it says for itself. Yeah, we are speaking every year on different conferences, different discussions we have about how we can do it easier, the life on board, crew welfare, and of course the crew travel. And there are a lot of discussions happening, but we're still there. Remember, I came to crewing. That's why I was smiling when you started your presentation. That I came to crewing in 1996, and this waiting from the agent, okay, to board letter on the fax machine late at night, and then you have to deliver it to the crew member at the airport. It's a nightmare. And indeed, since those times, there's a lot of changes happen in terms of the tools which supports us in all aspects. Yeah, but I think that the last mile is still those 15% what Markoc presented, yeah, and it stays with the human beings, yeah. A proper agent, cooperative agent, smart seafarer who finds his gate, yeah, because sometimes they say, hey, and the flight is missed. The vessel with proper ETA without changes and stuff like that. And I would even compare the crew change today with like a crewing department. I have two of my colleagues here who are involved in operations, Anastasia and Olga, who know it for sure. So crewing department today is like a NASA center preparing a seafarer as an astronaut to fly to the moon. Yeah, and trying to prevent all the happenings, having all these scenarios in place. But the last mile, I think the final mile is when all the things, as you said, are aligned at the same time. Vessel, agent, visa, whatever, and this is it. And the crew change is done.
It's a coordination hell, so to say. And when this happens to hard-to-source officers, how do you deal with it usually?
Well, I mean, when we talk about the failed crew change, I don't want even to use that phrase, yeah, but this is a reality, and we live in reality, yeah, so it's difficult to source a person, yeah, because now we're in global shortage of the seafarers, yeah, and we feel that we're in the right time, in the right place with providing our Ethiopian officers, but when it comes to the crew change and it's a failure, that's a big impact, right? And I would say that commercial aspect and the operational aspect, they live together here, yeah? And they're very close because it's not just a loss of the ticket cost, it's much wider. Yeah? A person who is waiting for his replacement on board, he's pissed off that he's not replaced, yeah? And then the next convenient port might be far, far away, yeah? And now we're talking about the risks about MLC breach. We're talking about this guy being exhausted. We talk about fatigue, performance, of course, yeah? So there's a chain reaction on that. Same for the guy who is sitting at home. The seafarers, they always kind of pre-plan their income versus their expenses, yeah? So many of them, they use the loans and all these factors, yeah? And then if they don't get on board in a proper way on time, then this fails as well, yeah? And that's a complex thing.
Thank you. Chrysanthos, so you come from the cruise sector, and as the amount of crew on the vessels is totally different compared to merchant vessels when there's only 20, 30, maybe 10 people, depending on the vessel. How are you handling it, and are we genuinely fooling ourselves that there's a possibility for automation, or will it stay manual?
Okay. Yeah, okay, excellent. In two ways. So the system works well if everything goes according to a plan. And I'm going to link with the previous presenters, a proactive approach. But the real challenge starts when there isn't disruption, a reactive approach. So, and we experienced this recently in the Arabian Gulf. Thousands of crew were trapped. Some of them may be still there, maybe still be there. We had 2 ships in the Arabian Gulf with more than 1,000 crew and 3,000 passengers. So a huge mission to evacuate the vessel. And so when there is a disruption, a flight cancellation, visa issues, an event that cannot be anticipated, like what happened in the Arabian Gulf, what counts is human experience, people relationship with the authorities, and of course the support from the stakeholders in general, port authorities, etc. So that's the first part. So we have the systems, okay, they can work well, but what happens when the system fails? Then you need the people to intervene, and you need the experienced people that could provide solutions. And the second way has to do with the crew or the crew competence shortage. As I mentioned before, it's not a quantity, it's a quality metric. And I would like to highlight this because we are investing billions on new assets, on new technologies, especially the cruise vessels are very advanced. So we must also invest and develop our crew so they can operate the new vessels safely. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving onwards with the topic, Douwe, you sit on the policy side. The EU entry-exit system is replacing manual passport stamping, and ETS is arriving alongside it. Before we move forward with the question, maybe you explain just a little bit about it.
Can you check?
No.
Technical issues.
Okay. Yeah. So to bring it back to the basic, the ultimate goal of the organization I work for is to make European shipping competitive, and a big part of that is also is crewing and also crewing services. So we have to always monitor what kind of proposals are coming from the Commission that might touch crewing recruitment and crewing practices, and one of these things that does is the EU entry-exit system. You might have heard it in the news as well. Mostly travelers, not per se seafarers, that are affected. You see long queues at airports, which directly affect seafarers, of course. But apart from that, there's maybe an even bigger underlying problem with this system for now, because so this system replaces manual stamping, and in many ports, this kind of IT infrastructure is not developed yet, which also differs a lot between member states, and this can lead to seafarers that fly into the Schengen area, getting a digital entry, but then leaving the Schengen area via a port and not receiving a digital exit stamp, to say so. And this is a problem also for the seafarer, because he will come back, then he might have overstayed his authorized period of stay, and how are we going to deal with something like this? And that is why we keep addressing these kind of problems also with the Commission, to say there are specifics to the seafaring career that you have to take into account, because otherwise these people cannot do their job. And for now, what I've heard from many of our members is that member states have had practical solutions to counter these kind of problems, but yeah, it's of course not, if you have to make an exception for every case, it's not a well-functioning system. So this is something that we are addressing at European level. And then the other system, which is not in force yet, it's ETIAS. I'm not exactly sure what it exactly stands for, but it is basically for these travelers that can stay in the EU for 90 days out of 100 days, and they have to register here, pay a fee of 20 euros, I think, and here we also stress that this shouldn't give another administrative burden to crewing agencies, to ship owners, and also to seafarers. So yeah.
Thank you. My question there is just to dig a little bit deeper on the policy side to understand what's the plan and when are we going to see the change, hopefully.
Thank you all for bringing me the microphone. That's a very difficult question to answer because we are having regular talks with the Commission. The Commission says it's not us who should do this. It is about how the member states transpose these directives. So it's like they both blame each other, which is a very difficult situation, and I can't answer when this is going to be fixed, but it should be fixed definitely. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think that also the people that are sitting next to me are also having these kind of problems with this system.
Dmitry, yeah.
I cannot refrain from not commenting because I'm non-European citizen, all right? And this is exactly why was my pain point, yeah? And the source of my job is seeing clients around the globe. So if you look at my passport, it's valid for 10 years. After 2 years, I'm replacing it because there's no place to put the stamps. So the good thing is that no stamps anymore, all right? And I think the negative part, and I think it's very temporary at the start of the project, is that this system is great, but it creates crowds of people on the border. I came to Greece a couple of months ago, and I had a client meeting upon arrival kind of thing, you know, and I had to cancel it because there was a plane coming from US with American tourists, like 300 people. So I was one of in the queue, and it took me 2.5 hours to pass the border on arrival in Athens, you know. When I think about seafarers, yeah, it's a lost flight. If there is a connection after entering Schengen zone, yeah, it's almost a lost flight. Yeah, so the risk is really there. And what I think that if there is an opportunity to make, if we consider our guys as key workers, they should have separate corridors like the airline stuff. Yeah, that they don't stand in the, you know, long waiting. And sometimes they're shy to ask, hey, can you let me go? Because my next flight is departing in 1 minute, you know? So if there is an opportunity to have something specifically for seafarers, that would be absolutely great.
Yeah, there are, in some of the countries, not in Europe, unfortunately, there are those seafarer securities and so on. But Panos, bring us to the travel desk in the middle of all of this. How has the crew travel partner changed compared to 5 years ago? And when a policy friction like visa or like this border queue hits, how do you solve it, and what do the owners expect to absorb?
We believe that the biggest change that crew travel has seen over the years is that it's no longer viewed as a purely operational or transactional function. In today's environment, shaped by geopolitical developments, regulatory complexity, and continuous disruption, it has become a critical component of business continuity. To be in part with what Toomas and what Douwe and Dmitry were saying, the global ecosystem has not only become more complex, it has also become less tolerant. It requires far greater precision, flexibility, and expertise in the way crew travel is planned and executed. This complexity is further amplified by evolving regulatory and policy requirements whose impact is ultimately felt at the operational level of where crew changes still need to happen safely and on time. As a result, expectations from travel management partners have evolved greatly. Shipping companies need more than a travel supplier. They need a reliable partner who understands the complexities of the international environment, help navigate through difficult decisions and ensures that crew changes can take place safely and efficiently under any conditions. At Marine Tours, we often say that flexibility is not a reaction to the moment. It's a result of experience, structures, and partnerships built over time. Ultimately, the objective is not to simply manage travel arrangements, but to support shipping companies in maintaining operational continuity. When circumstances change unexpectedly, especially in this time of that we're experiencing in the last couple of years.
Thank you. So moving to the third part of our conversation, technology, competence, and retention. It was touched in your presentation as well, Chrysanthos. So as the senior technical voice here, as we're trying to automate all of this pipeline, do you risk getting very good at moving people efficiently while losing sight of whether the right competent person actually shows up? And is a stressful manual crew change, the airport limbo, the visa uncertainty itself a retention problem?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. So definitely technology provides information, make the system more efficient. We can easily and fast move the crew and officers around the globe, but we are losing sight when the system or the technology judge the quality metrics. And I'm referring to experience, to leadership. On a cruise vessel, there are more than 50 nationalities, so the soft skills are very important. So it's not just, to move the people around or to have an efficient process. It's also important to make sure that we get the right people with the right skills. And that is, something that the technology must match with the people experience at the office. And with regards to the retention, I will say that the contract starts when the crew leaves his home, not when he's on board. So the whole process is, if it's efficient, fast, and the crew is happy, will definitely help him to feel part of the family and improve the retention rates. And they also value the way we treat them, the atmosphere on board, the communication with the office when it's on board and when it's ashore, what we provide them. The crew must feel a part of the company. If that is achieved, then it will be much easier to keep him in the company. Thank you.
So, Panos, as the crew travel, you're responsible for the crew travel, helping shipping companies have good welfare and retention. How much does the crew travel experience itself, good or bad, shape whether people stay at sea? Have you measured it somehow, and where do you see the biggest genuine opportunity for AI in this versus the parts that have to actually stay human?
Well, we believe there is a much stronger connection that many people realize in what Mr. Chrysanthous is saying. For seafarers, the journey is not separate from the overall experience. It is a part of it. The way the crew member travels to and from a vessel has a direct impact on the well-being, engagement, and ultimately how it is perceived, the company they work for, by the traveler himself. At the time when the industry is facing significant challenges in attracting and retaining talent, this becomes increasingly important. Companies are not only competing for clients, they are also competing for people, and people remember experience. This is why we believe crew travel should not be viewed purely in the lens of cost and logistics. A well-planned and well-executed journey demonstrates respect for the seafarer and contributes to a better overall experience. And while the conversation often starts with welfare and retention, it ultimately leads to operational performance as well. A crew member who arrives rested, focused, and prepared, it's in a much better position to perform on board. And of course, we see significant opportunities in AI and emerging technologies across the crew travel ecosystem. And this is something we are actively incorporating into the way we operate and we support our clients. Technology in general is already providing visibility, accelerating access to information, and enabling organizations to operate with greater agility and resilience. But at the same time, the real value of technology lies not simply in providing information, but in supporting better decision-making. As technology continues to evolve, the real differentiator will not be access to information, but the ability to translate information into decisions and meaningful outcomes. Ultimately, regardless of how technology evolves, travel will remain a deeply human activity. At Marine Tours, our approach is to embrace technology as a powerful enabler while remaining focused on what matters most, delivering meaningful outcome to our client, their seafarers, and the industry as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we are heading to our lightning round. 30 seconds each. One of two things. Either the single fix you'd make to make the last mile if you could only pick one, or the one thing you think this industry should stop fooling itself about. Chrysanthos.
Okay, so technology cannot compensate crew competency. Technology could not replace experience, leadership, and other quality metrics. Technology, on the other hand, could facilitate the process, automate the process, support the decision-making. So we are investing billions on new vessels, so we must also invest on crew development. Thank you.
Sanja.
I'm a huge supporter of a human-centered crew management and maritime HR. So if we put people as an input in all our processes, then we will get an output that future is expecting from us.
Thank you. Dmitry.
Again, I will repeat myself. If we consider seafarers as key workers, we should take actions. Yeah, and these actions should be brought maybe by larger shipping companies to the flag states, or maybe to European Union, or to the high-weighted bodies, in order to take actions, because it has to be on the government levels, agreement between the governments, easier visa obtaining or visa on arrival like it was in the long past, That would ease the process. I mean, we are managing, as crewing guys, we are managing situation, but we're managing only because of very good talent in the offices, and secondly, with a very good advanced planning. So we start already thinking about the visas, whatever might be, for a person when he is still on board for his next assignment, And this is not the way of doing things. I think we can survive up to a certain extent, but we are balancing between, success and failure. And if it's decided on the governmental levels to ease the processes, that will be really, really helpful. And as I said, that 10 years ago, we were talking about the same things. 20 years ago, we were talking about the same things. It's still over there, and the measures should be really taken. So not reactively reacting to the disasters we face these days, but proactively.
Thank you. Douwe.
Yes, I want to continue there actually, because finally seafarers have been considered as key workers, but without any practical solutions. This term is an empty term. It's difficult, but it needs practical solutions to make sure that seafarers are actually key workers, and also coming to the reactiveness on geopolitical crises. First we saw COVID, then we saw the crisis in the Red Sea. It might be a new normal that we need to have a framework for to deal with these kind of crises. I think that is very important, and is also something that should be addressed by different levels of government.
Thank you. Panos.
The key fact here is that what will continue to make the difference is the ability to translate information into sound decisions and meaningful outcomes. Technology will continue to be a powerful enabler for our industry and, in general, every industry, creating new opportunities to improve efficiency, visibility, and decision-making. And the last part, the decision-making part, it's what keeps it human and what makes the difference for everybody who has access to the information, because information will be increasingly available to everybody. So at the same time, people must remain at the center of everything we do, because ultimately our role is to support shipping companies in achieving their business goals while ensuring the best possible experience for their seafarers.
Thank you. So just to conclude panel, what I take from here and my understanding, what I've heard from all of you is that the last mile still, even 20 years later, is still manual and fragile. There is technology helping, but there needs to be humans in the loop. We see that policy and the operators actually agree on the same fix. Seafarers are key workers, visa on arrival, dedicated channels. We need to find ways how to move the seafarers through the airports, through the ports, in an efficient manner so that they don't get stuck. And technology can move people efficiently, but competence and welfare, they stay human. So with every seafarer, there needs to be somebody on the other end of the line, a human, not some robot. Did I get it correct?
I think that competency and the welfare, that's separate subjects which we can discuss for hours. Yeah.
All right. Now we have time a little bit for questions. I think we have one microphone running around there.
Yes. So I will kick off the questions round, but if you have a question, please do not hesitate to raise your hand. I will quickly run over with the microphone and you can ask it. One question we talked, you all mentioned briefly of this topic of crises and this, and the last one during this spring, it was related to the war in the Middle East. Have you seen this affect the ticket prices, and how has this affected your work and the ticket availability? Has it made more difficult in the sourcing? Is it just the fact that you are now looking more to find the best solutions, or is it just swallowing the cost and to just get the seafarers and make the crew changes happen? And I think I will first direct it to maybe Panos and then ask other panelists to respond as well.
Sure. In travel industry, you are used to going from crisis to crisis. Basically, you are affected by everything, be it COVID, the financial, regulatory issues. So each crisis tend to make us feel stronger and more experienced towards the other crises that need to follow in the future. What happens is that we learn to adapt to new ways that maybe we didn't know that we were able to adapt before. So yes, things are becoming more difficult, but at the same time, it also enables us and empowers us to become better at what we do.
Okay, and maybe to get kind of your comment from the crewing side, Sanja, as well, how has this affected you?
Yeah, exactly. I have tackled the subject in my opening line. For us, it's really take it or leave it. There are no other options. We need to perform a crew change. So it affects us, and we need to find a ticket that is within the budget and that takes crew safely on board. So we need to take into account those 2 points. And it would be really helpful if we can see initiative from the airline companies to maybe have more connections with seafarers' hubs. Maybe seafarers are frequent flyers, ship owners are very loyal customers, so maybe some special tariffs for their loyal customers.
Yes, that's definitely would be helpful. So, any questions from the audience? Anybody wants to ask something? I think that if there are no more questions, then we can thank our panelists and... yes.
Yeah, just an example, just to understand the challenges that we face during the crisis in the Middle East. So definitely there was, a big disruption of the transportation sector, so we are not able to disembark passengers and crew. Of course, the embassies of the countries help a lot with disembarkation. But what I would like to highlight is that some states, like the Filipino state, so they were allowing the Filipino crew to stay and pass and cross the Hormuz Strait, but they were not allowing us to keep the crew, the Filipino crew, when crossing the Yemen Strait. So we have an active war, and they were allowed to stay, but not, of course, I'm not saying that it was smooth, but again, it was not, an active war. So we had to disembark the Filipino crew, which is, it's not a small number on a vessel. And then we had to replace them because we disembark and keep only the skeleton crew, allowing us to, for the repositioning trip to sail safely. But we had to replace also the Filipino crew. That was, one of the reactive challenges that we face. Yeah.
Yes, Dmitry.
May I add something? Yeah, I want to add some spice here. Yeah, I truly believe that many airlines today are using this crisis for their own success, right? So the price of tickets is doubling, tripling, yeah, and they don't give us a choice because there's a limited amount of flights due to the crisis, due to airlines, the closing of airspaces, etc. So that's the impacting, and it's not impacting only us as crewing companies, it's impacting our clients or the owners. And then at the end of the day, they say, hey, it's over the budget, let's cancel the crew change. And then it comes again as a chain reaction, no timely replacement of people, MLC compliance and all these things. Unfortunately, this is a reality.
One more thing that
yes.
I know that, sorry, can you hear me? Yeah. There was a company that chartered a plane and they paid more than 1 million, to disembark some specific nationality of crew. More than 1 million, just to,
Yeah, the reality is of the situation that usually if the tickets are more expensive or you cannot find a travel solution, it's the seafarer well-being that gets that is suffered, and it is not acceptable, but that's the sad reality of the fact that it's the seafarer well-being and comfort that at the end of the day will be sacrificed. Okay, but thank you all for the panelists, and a big applause to them.
Thank you very much, everybody.